conversations about mental health, wellness, and life in general. This is the Self-Work Podcast with Dr. Vundi. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Self-Work Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Vundi. I am the women's psychiatrist. What do? I address the mental health needs of women, and I have the same conversations on this podcast. And that's because women are unique, and as such, their mental health needs are unique. So today we'll be having a conversation about your menstrual cycle and how it affects your mental health. I'll say it again, your menstrual cycle and how it affects your mental health. And so, as a woman, we always feel these changes during our cycle, but do we understand them and do we know how to navigate them? So basically, we are all cycle survivors. We survive our cycle, but I want to help you thrive through your cycle. And so as we look at the menstrual cycle, we have to really just go back to the point of how much it's a hormonal roller coaster, if I can call it that. And we know it all too well. I want you to keep this conversation practical and just know that we are all different. So if I'm describing something and it feels different to you, that's okay. Remember that you should always have the conversation with your own doctor, right? So let's start off with what is a menstrual cycle, what's considered normal, and what's the relationship between the cycle and the mood. So every woman goes through four seasons, just like the weather seasons. We've got summer, we've got winter, we've got spring and fall. Yeah, I'm an African. We don't experience this, but this is kind of like a good analogy. So just like you have those 4 seasons, a woman goes through the 4 seasons of her menses. And these are all in relation with your menstrual period. So if you're not getting a menstrual period, so if you've not had a period, then you don't have a menstrual cycle. Okay, so what is phase 1? Phase 1 is the menstruation phase, and that's between day 1 to 5 for most people. Of course, it can be extended. Some women have their period for 7 days. So that's phase 1, the menstrual phase. Usually at this phase, the level of estrogen and progesterone drop. Don't worry, I'm not going to get super medical. So all you need to do is that estrogen and progesterone, they drop. Now, for some of us, this can feel like a bit of a meh phase, low energy, low motivation. Personally, I get a little bit withdrawn during my period. I don't want to really go out there, talk to a lot of people. I kind of just want to be at home. So I don't know what it's like for you, but the world sometimes can feel a bit loud. In fact, I usually don't like a lot of loud noises. This is the time when I do not like to be out, like in a social setting, in a big restaurant. Like I will avoid events during this part of my cycle. So that's part of part 1 is a menstrual phase. So this is my experience, but I want to encourage you to diarize or journal throughout your cycle. How are you normally during a menstrual cycle? Because if you know that I'm sensitive to sounds, then you will know how to adjust your life so that you have a comfortable phase. The next phase actually coincides at the same time as the menstrual phase. Are we together? So from between day 1 to day 5, the menstrual phase is happening, yes, but something else is also happening, and it's called the follicular phase. So they're happening at the same time. They kind of overlap, and it can go all the way up to day 14. And this is the fun part. Your period ends, estrogen starts to rise, you feel like the sun is coming out after a storm, you notice your energy is coming up. So this is what we call spring. Yeah, this is spring. So the menstrual phase, I forgot to say, is more like winter. It's very cold, it's very dull. I know people love winter, but that's what we liken it to. So the menstrual phase is winter, and then follicular phase is spring. Literally, you're springing. I generally tend to feel more optimistic. This is a great time to plan things. So if there's something you've been putting off, creativity wise, this is a time I'll do my podcast shoot plans, content calendar, something you've been meaning to work on. This is the time to budget, because generally you're working with your own internal mood. You're starting to feel a bit more social. So this is a time maybe you want to call that friend who you said you'll call back for a meetup. Yeah, you told your friend, yeah, let's meet. This is a time. So at the end of this episode, I'll tell you a few things you can do to assist with these different phases. But let's move over to the third phase, okay? And this is the ovulation phase. So this is like fall, okay? And this is from day 14 to 16 for most people. Some women can tell when they're ovulating. Some women can tell. Basically, this is where the estrogen is at its peak. Yeah, you're a social butterfly, and for a good reason. Your hormones are working together. There's synergy. You have glow. Some women literally glow. Your skin is glowing. You're feeling more confident. Your sexual energy might be high. Most women enjoy this phase. Although for some women, they will feel a bit of pain as they're menstruating. So physically, you might feel like you're cramping, but generally the energy, it tends to be good. So ovulation, I would like to encourage you to be mindful of your mood. This feeling of being on top of the world is great. Ride on it. This is where now you can do your workouts, the high energy workouts. But it's easy to get overwhelmed if you take on too much. Right? Just because your energy is really, really high, it doesn't mean you need to overcommit to everything. Now you're saying yes to every single plan. Now you're agreeing to work extra hours, to take on extra shifts. Because remember, it's only a few days. And something else is coming, which we will get to. So ovulation, be mindful to spread out your energy. And remember to pour back into yourself. So some self-work. Don't spend all your ovulation energy on other people. Pour into yourself. Do some self-care. Do some exercises that put you back with nature. Take a walk, be outside. So I don't need to say that ovulation is a time when you are most fertile. I think we all know that. So even with your sexuality, be careful. Don't just ride on every high, because I read somewhere that this is where people just feel overly in love. Be careful, be thoughtful, be mindful. Do I really want to have sex with this person? Do I really want to go on this date, or am I just ovulating? All right, so the last phase is called the luteal phase. Now, this is from day 16 to 28 if you have a 28-day cycle. So you remember how we're working with the 4 seasons of the weather? So ovulation is summer. Yeah, things are hot. And when the weather is hot, what do? You put on your sunscreen. So while you're ovulating, put that extra layer of protection of your energy. Yes, it's great. Everything is fun, but everything in moderation, all right? And then we go over to phase 4. Phase 4 is the luteal phase, and this is from day 16 to 28 for people who have a 28-day cycle. And this is now things get a little bit tricky. Things get a little bit tricky because, and this is where now it's called fall, yeah, or autumn, whatever you call it. Things are falling. And what are these things that are falling? It's basically the drop in estrogen, and then there's a rise in progesterone. So as you can tell, if one thing is going up and another one is coming down, what does that mean? That's a little bit of confusion, right? So this is where we're talking a bit of mood swings, irritability, an irrational urge to cry. Your favorite socks are missing, and now you're looking at your spouse like, where have you hidden my socks? So you're starting fights, you're a bit more argumentative, your energy is a bit all over the place. I can relate to this one. And if you suffer from PMS, this is premenstrual syndrome, or premenstrual dysphoric disorder, PMDD. Don't you worry, guys. I'll make more content on those specifically. This is where things get thick if you have PMS and PMDD during day 16 to day 28. The tears are coming. The tears are coming. You have no energy. You're not very social, so your friends might want to meet up with you, and you think you agree, but on the day of, you cancel. So I want to tell you guys, the luteal phase is not easy, and even physically, you might experience sugar cravings. So it's very important to identify how you can preserve your energy during the luteal phase, what to do, what not to do. For me, sometimes I take a break from work. I can take menstrual leave. I also don't do big things when I'm in my luteal phase. And what are big things? Like a shoot day. I will not put myself in a situation where I'm dealing with a lot of personalities, so big social gatherings. So I encourage you, luteal phase, just pour into yourself. And if you want to cry, cry. The other day I was in the salon getting my hair done, and a wave of tears just came, and I just let it. Don't fight your feelings. I sound like a song. Don't fight your feelings, cry. So that's the luteal phase. But as always, guys, I don't want to leave you without anything helpful. We've talked about what to do in terms of the activities to engage in. But let's talk a bit about diet and something you can do to help you throughout your cycle, especially to balance out the moods. So all through these cycles, let me just emphasize the importance of sleep and hydrating, all right? But let's talk about something called seed cycling. So seed cycling is whereby some research has shown that there are some seeds that we can consume that will help us during different phases of our cycle. So when you are experiencing the luteal phase and menstrual phase, okay, so the last part of your cycle, yeah, it has been shown that consuming seeds such as sesame seeds, can really help with balancing out the estrogen levels. And even sunflower seeds. So what I do is I grind the sunflower and sesame seeds, and I literally put them on everything I'm eating. So if it's my oatmeal, my food, I'll just sprinkle them on top. Advise you not to consume them whole. It helps your body to digest them when you have them in powder form. And this helps. I'm not saying that it will regulate your hormones. I'm just saying that for some people it has helped. And for me, it really has. Also, in that last phase, the luteal and menstrual phase, I avoid sugar as much as possible, in as much as your body is craving. And I like to eat foods like legumes. So I'll do a lot of beans. I'll do pumpkin. So there's a whole body of work that can guide you nutritional wise in terms of the foods you can eat, but those are just some. What about the first half of your cycle? So I'm talking about the other phase, when spring and summer, and this is the follicular phase and the ovulation phase. Here you can consume seeds such as flax seeds. They've been shown to be really, really good to just balance out energy and mood and your hormones. Lastly, when you're in your luteal phase and also when you're menstruating, magnesium is great. Magnesium is really, really great for sleep because some people struggle with sleep and anxiety. So I'm talking about magnesium glycinate. It can really help with the feeling of just being on edge. It helps you be calm. And as always, for PMS and PMDD, I encourage you to speak to your doctor, speak to your psychiatrist or your gynecologist, because those require a proper assessment and treatment. That's it, guys. Those are the 4 seasons of your moods as it comes to your menstrual cycle. Please engage me in the comment section. Let me know, did you relate with this? Are you like me? Do you understand the 4 seasons now? And if you're watching this and you feel like you need to come in for an assessment, please reach out in my contacts below. And yeah, I've loved this episode. It's been a dear one to me, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.